Okay, welcome back, students. This is lesson 5, reducing thermal energy transfer. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some technologies that reduce thermal energy transfer and like insulation, okay, in walls. We'll talk about a little bit about windows and some other things. Okay, so I'm doing this a little differently. I didn't make a PowerPoint on this one just because it's going to make it easier to do something else a little later here. So let's go over the notes this way this time. So first of all, let's just remember the law of thermodynamics, the second law. Heat flows from hot to cold, from a hot area to a cold area. And remember that there's 3 types of transfer: conduction, convection, and radiation. Okay, so an insulator is a substance that does not readily allow the passage of heat. So, fiberglass insulation. You guys all know you put that on the walls and less heat gets through. Double glazing. Notice that this window has 2 panes of glass. There's even windows that have triple glazing, and there's gas in between the panes, and they don't let a lot of heat through them. The windows in the houses we have today are a lot better insulators than the houses that my grandma and grandpa used to live in, and the windows that they had, even when I was growing up, when I was younger. Okay, so delete those. And then sometimes they'll build what they call a cavity wall, a wall that has this air space. It's like 2 walls, and they got this air space in between. And that's a good insulator. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so moving down here. And the whole purpose of insulation is to prevent heat transfer. In the wintertime, we're trying to prevent heat from getting outside. We don't want that. And in the summertime, we're trying to prevent too much heat from getting inside. So that's the whole purpose of insulation. Okay, there's some videos I might link here. And then there's going to be some questions. So you need to read these paragraphs and answer some questions. I'm just going to scroll down here. Okay, so there's some reading to do. And then there's some questions. I'll just maybe pause here for a sec. So if I'm just looking at this, we've got what we call fiberglass insulations, probably what you're very familiar with. Some of you might have seen these things. They're styrofoam, almost like styrofoam sheets, and they're more rigid. They're hard. Those are insulators. They're called foam board. There's also sort of like this, but it's more foamy, not quite as fibrous as these. I mean, they're fibrous. They just feel different. They feel more like fabric, and some of them have a tinfoil coating on them as well. There's also this spray foam. You spray this foam, so this goes up in your ceiling rafters. You spray all this foam. If you were to look up inside your ceiling, this is probably what you would see up there. And then there's like tinfoil layers that they can put on as well. It's not quite like tinfoil, but similar idea. Okay, so you're going to see some questions. So let's just look at the first one. What are 3 ways that heat flows? And it has this P2. So that means you go back to paragraph 2 to find the answer. So for example, I'll go back to P2. There's P2. So here's P2. And it involves 3 basic: conduction, convection, radiation. So I think you guys probably already knew that answer because we've talked about it before. So you'd go write that answer down. Maybe we'll do one more together here. Okay, let's go back down. Question number 2. How do most common insulation materials work? Paragraph 3. Okay. So paragraph 3, most insulation materials work by slowing conductive heat flow. Okay, and to a lesser extent, convective heat flow. So we basically slow down conduction and we slow down convection. That's how most of our common insulators in our houses work. Okay, you'll do those questions, and I'll have them all online, or I've got a paper copy at the school here for anybody who wants it. And then you're going to come down to this part, and basically, here, I'll read the instructions here. So using the next page, label the following. You do not have to label the same number more than once. So basically, you're just going to label this. So it's actually pretty easy. And what is this? What is this? I've already done 1A. I don't have to do another 1A. Okay? Well, let's go find the answer on this. Okay. So then I go down. Number 1 is unfinished attic spaces. And 1A is an attic access door. All right, so I'll go back up. Number 1 is unfinished attic space, and 1A, that one is an attic door. All right, good enough. Now the other thing I want to show you here is, where does insulation go? Like, where do you insulate? Let's say you've got a house like this. Where do you have to insulate? So let's just pick a spot. So just imagine where all the outside air is coming here. Okay, so we've got cold air trying to get in. Okay, all this cold is trying to get in. And we want to prevent it. Okay, all right, so where do we insulate? I'll just change the color of this, red. Where do we need to insulate? So you might think that let's say if we start right here, I got to make sure I'm insulated here. And then you might think, oh, I got to go here and then up here and then here. That actually wastes money. It costs more to put insulate all that than it does to do this. So we insulate here, here. This is an attic space. There's nothing there. So we would actually insulate the floor and then the wall. We wouldn't go up here because we don't care if this part gets cold. We don't care if that part gets cold. So we don't have to waste money there. We would insulate there and there. So you basically just create this perimeter. The window acts as an insulator. Okay. And then it doesn't show it here. I'm not quite sure what they're showing here, but I would just show this has to be completely sealed in. Insulated, insulated, windows and insulator, boom. So now I have sealed up the whole thing. The cold can't get in there. Okay, so the main point I'm making here is don't go up on the roof like this, okay, or unnecessary walls. Okay, so, all right, there we go. Any questions? Oh, you're not here. I can't answer questions. You can email me. Okay, that's the lesson. Thanks for watching.